Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 638. 638. December the 18th, 2018, Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Especially hello to all my new subscribers. I've been picking up quite a few new subscribers here lately, so that's great to see, and welcome to the community. Finest community on the internet, I promise. Huge news day today. Bombshell news today. Let's get on it. Judge Emmett Sullivan has ordered Special Counsel Mueller, Uncle Bob, the executioner, to publicly file a redacted version of the original 302 that FBI agent Joe Pientka prepared after Michael Flynn's January 24th, 2017 interview. And that's already happened. I was looking at it earlier. A lot of redactions, unfortunately. We need to get the unredacted version. I certainly hope that the judge gets the unredacted version. I'm sure he did, but he wants it released to the public. Judge Sullivan wants it released to the public, but the redactions that I see, and the one I was looking at, far too many redactions, and that needs to be fixed. We need to get the unredacted. There's no reason for any of that to be redacted. So we'll continue to follow up on this. I expect, of course, today, Tuesday, as you're watching this video, we're going to find out what Judge Sullivan does. Now, the fact that he ordered this to be released to the public, even with redactions, tells me he's probably not going to throw out Flynn's case. He may. This is just, I'm speculating. But the fact that he's doing this is seems like it's an alternative to throwing out the case. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he throws out the case. But at the very least, even if he does not throw out Flynn's case, he has done a valuable service by forcing Uncle Bob to produce the original 302, which they have not wanted to have produced at all, not even for the Congress. They have not wanted to produce this document. So the fact that we're even seeing the redacted version of it is a big step forward, and that means probably that Lindsey Graham or I don't know, there's still 2 weeks left. I guess maybe they can get a copy, Congress can get a copy. Someone will probably get a copy of this now that it's been released publicly, redacted. They'll probably try to get the unredacted 302 on the Flynn interview. And I think a lot will be learned from that, and that should mean that shortly thereafter they should finally get to interview Joe Pientka, would be my guess. So we'll keep watching and we'll see what happens. Obviously, by the time you see this video, we'll know what the ruling was. But there'll be more to come after that as a result of the ruling, whichever way it goes. But now we know the 302 exists, and we've now seen it. Unfortunately, heavily redacted, but we have now seen it. This is big. Conservative Treehouse is reporting that Trump is going for the ultimate globalist takedown. Conservative Treehouse is reporting that Trump and his, I believe, Secretary of the Treasury, I believe, Mnuchin, are in the process of assembling and delivering a new banking system that will create a parallel financial system of less regulated small commercial banks and credit unions and traditional lenders who will operate in the interest of Main Street, and the globalist banking cartel on Wall Street will no longer have a monopoly on wealth creation. The rigged game is about up. Now we know one of the probably biggest reasons why they wanted to stop Trump from being elected and destroy him after he was elected. Because this is when you get right down to the heart of the matter, folks. The money. And the people who really run the world, the people who print the money. This goes directly at their testicles and removes them. Abraham Lincoln introduced the greenback back during the Civil War because he realized he couldn't borrow banker money at interest without the Union going bankrupt. Napoleon realized at some point that the bankers he was borrowing money from to fight his wars were also loaning money to all of his enemies that he was also fighting, and that he too would end up bankrupt. Kennedy released the silver certificate in an effort to compete with the Federal Reserve note. These individuals all faced pretty unfortunate ends. This is a major, major play. Major play. It's a very long read for a conservative treehouse story. There's a lot there, a lot to digest. Too much to go into a video. You have to read it for yourself. So I recommend that you go over to Conservative Treehouse and take a look at that article. It's a lot to digest. But if you can understand even half of it, you'll understand how big this is. Because I used to talk a lot about, I don't do, these videos obviously are about the Spygate fiasco, the crime there, but when I first started doing YouTube videos, I would do videos sometimes talking about the banking cartel, the Federal Reserve, fractional reserve banking, and all these sorts of things, because I was a hardcore Ron Paul supporter. And that's what led me to Bill Steele and other people's when I watched that documentary, The Money Masters. And I learned how the criminal banking cartel rules the world because they print the money. And once I really began to understand, I still don't fully 100% understand it. It's very complex. But I understand it enough to get the point. And I understand it enough to know this, my friends, is the major move. This goes way above and beyond walls, politics, immigration, any of these other things. This is the big kahuna. And it appears that Trump is working on making it happen. Essentially, I talked about years ago introducing a competing currency to compete with the Federal Reserve note. And I talked about we need to set up a Bank of the U.S. and then have hundreds of charter banks around the country, with each charter bank in each state being able to create essentially their own script, their own money. And this would be a way of competing with the Federal Reserve note and essentially putting it out of business and ending the criminal globalist banking cartel, which is the New World Order. And they're behind all the naughtiness that's going on, behind all the mischief. This is a way to neuter these folks, and it looks like Trump is going to do it. I hope he has angels on each shoulder. He's going to need them with this play. We'll keep watching. Michael Isikoff, the reporter from Yahoo News that wrote the September 23rd, 2016 article that first mentioned the dossier, says that many of the salacious allegations in the dossier are likely false. Uh-oh. That's not good. It's good for us. But for the narrative and for the people, and we know who they are, who used the dossier to do all the mischief, can't like hearing this. This was their boy. This is the guy that they ran it through. And now he's coming out and saying, sorry, I think it's a hoax. Don't think any of it's really true. Uh-oh. They went and got FISA warrants, launched an entire operation, investigation, set the stage for the coup, and this started it all. My oh my. I'll let that one sink in. That'll take a while to think about all the ramifications that are going to come as a result of Michael Isikoff having to come out and state what is obvious. And why would he do that? He's doing it because he wants to be ahead of it. He wants to get ahead of what he knows is coming down. That should make a lot of people very nervous. Bob Corker says in an interview that he may challenge or primary Trump in 2020. Bob Corker? Go ahead, Bob. I fully support Bob Corker challenging or primarying Trump in 2020. That would be hilarious. Hilarious. He wouldn't even get 1.0001% of 1% support if he tried to primary Trump. Or he may vote Democrat. He already did. He says Trump is not what the Republican Party is. That he is an anomaly. Very, very different. No, Bob, you are the one who is not what the Republican Party is. Trump is the Republican Party. He saved the Republican Party. The Republican Party was dying. Dying, Mr. Corker. Dying. It was Trump who came in and saved the Republican Party. Without Trump, we would have the rotten Reverend Mr. Corker, who you voted for. Yes, he is very, very different. You weasel. Go ahead and run. You'll look like a fool. The Comey hearing, just as I predicted, along with many other people, of course. More lies, more memory loss. Then afterwards, he did as he did last time. He gave a press conference and he said that he is not responsible. He was asked the question if he felt responsible for all the things that have happened with the FBI and how bad things have gone. And of course, he said that he is not responsible for the damage to the FBI, that it is Trump's fault for lying about the FBI constantly. And he says that he didn't know about the dossier until September of 2016. He continues to stay on this lie because he's already been quoted publicly as saying he didn't know about the dossier until 2016. Just like Mr. Potato Head, John Brennan, also sticking to it. Why? Because they're on record as saying that. But we know that they're lying. And we know that there's evidence to prove that they're lying about that and many other things. And it's all coming out. That's why they have to get this coup taken care of quickly. They're getting very nervous. I think that there's a lot of things going on that we don't know about. A lot of things going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about. And probably things that they don't know about. There's something brewing, though. There's definitely something brewing on both sides of the equation. At the end of this, there's going to be one really big winner and one really big loser. That's why I'm so concerned. Very dangerous people we're playing around with here. You're not going to believe this. Whew. Another bombshell from Christopher Steele. In the newest court case that he's involved in, where he's being sued by Alpha Bank for defamation. They also have a similar suit against Confusion GPS. Christopher Steele has declared under penalty of perjury that the rotten Reverend Clinton and the DNC paid him to help her challenge the outcome of the 2016 election. She didn't just pay Steele to put together the dossier, but she wanted his help to carry out a coup against President Trump. Hillary wanted information so that she could consider steps that she would be legally entitled to challenge the validity of the election in case Hillary lost. That is literally word for word from the deposition. She wanted Steele's help. She wanted information so that she could consider steps that she would be legally entitled to challenge the validity of the election in case she lost. The rotten reverend was behind the coup. Just as I suspected. Many of you who have been with me since the very beginning, you know, the first week, probably TowerGate video number 3, 4, or 5, I can't remember exactly which one, but it was that first week of TowerGate videos, I said, you know what? This smells an awful lot like a rotten Reverend Clinton operation. I bet she's got her hands all over this. And I made that statement about a week or so after Trump tweeted out that he had learned that Obama was tapping his wires. Just as I suspected, the rotten Reverend Clinton has been driving the bus. All along, she's driving the bus, my friends. This was a straight-up coup. And the rotten Reverend Clinton was the point man. This is her baby. Why has the rotten Reverend Clinton not been apprehended and taken away in leg chains? It's because the rotten Reverend Clinton has made it perfectly clear to all the perps that if she goes down, she's taking everybody with her. That is why they keep protecting her. She knows all the players. She knows the whole game because she was the one who created it. This is why she thinks she's going to walk. She has leverage over all these people, including Obama, Comey, the whole 9 yards. Her stay out of jail card is the fact that she can put everyone else in jail, and they all know it. That's why they must protect her. But she is going down. That's why I urged the president in a video last week to focus on the rotten reverend. Take down the rotten Reverend Clinton and you will get the whole bundle of thieves. She is the key to taking down this entire conspiracy. Something tells me Trump knows that. I suspect he's got a plan. He doesn't seem like the type of guy who doesn't have a plan. I don't know what the plan is. No one knows what the plan is. He's making me awfully nervous, I'll tell you that. He's got balls of steel because under the incredible pressure he's under, I would have dropped by now and said, okay, man, I got to roll out of this thing. He's not done that yet. He still continues to take it every day, knowing good and well he's got the evidence to bring down the entire thing. But he doesn't do it. Not yet. He's waiting for something. There's something he is waiting for. I don't know what that is. But something tells me we're all going to find out. Keep the faith. You can have bad days. I have bad days. I have days when I wake up and I'm just so pissed I can't stand it. Because I know we got the evidence. And he simply will not drop it. But he's not going to let this thing slide. What's frustrating is that we just don't know what he knows. And we don't know what his plan is. We want to know what his plan is. Everybody wants to know what his plan is. Everyone assumes he's got one. Some people claim to know. I don't believe them. That's just my opinion. That's fine if you believe other people who claim to know his plan. That's fine. I'm cool with that. Hey, maybe these people are right. I don't know. My guess is that no one knows his plan. That he only does his plan according to his own time frame and whatever it is that he's waiting on. There's something going on here. Something is going on. And I just don't know what it is. And it's driving me nuts. But I'm all in. I've been here for what? 638 videos that I've been on this story. That's a long time. And I'm going to stay on this story because as I said, from the very first week that I started doing this TowerGate videos, I said, if this is true, what Trump just tweeted, that they were tapping his wires, then this is bigger, 1,000 times bigger than Watergate. And it is much, much bigger than anything that happened in Watergate. And Trump knows that too. Maybe he is genuinely concerned that dropping this entire thing all at once like a bomb would maybe do more damage would do a lot of damage to the country. Maybe throw the country into chaos, into martial law, civil disorder. Maybe that's Trump's wisdom, which is obviously would be greater than mine. So maybe he thinks that he has to do this in a way that doesn't, destroy the country. Because as you can see, every day, practically every day, we get drip, 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 drip. It's been that way since day one. Drip here, drip there, drip here, drip there. It's constantly a drip here and a drip there. Very, very slowly, we're learning about everything. Just as we now just learned that the rotten Reverend Clinton was directly paying Christopher Steele, which answers one question I've had for 2 years now. Did the rotten Reverend Clinton know Christopher Steele? Did she ever talk to Christopher Steele? Did she use an intermediary to communicate to Christopher Steele? And I think what we just learned from what Christopher Steele just said today, that in fact he knows Hillary, Hillary knows him, and they either talked directly or they used an intermediary. The rotten Reverend Clinton was behind Christopher Steele. Personally. Drip, drip, drip. The drops are getting bigger and they're coming more often. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. And maybe Trump feels like this is the way to do it. Because it allows everyone, it's like getting into the swimming pool. I'm the guy that likes to just jump in and deal with like a second of freezing. And then you feel fine. But a lot of people, in a lot of situations, they prefer to wade into the pool slowly to get used to it. Regardless, I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing that Trump wants to try to take out the deep state without, destroying the country. He wants to throw out the bathwater without drowning the baby. So he has to be very careful about how he does this. That would be my guess. That would be my guess. What's yours? Hillary was behind the damn coup. Just as I suspected. Son of a bitch. Michael Flynn's cooperation, we now know what they were talking about, Michael Flynn cooperating. He obviously was giving information about, various people involved in this foreign lobbying and things and such, because Monday, one day before the hearing, the sentencing hearing, they drop charges on two of Flynn's business associates, Bajin Kian and Camille Alpetkin, were indicted for failing to file as foreign agents as it relates to Turkey. The timing is pretty interesting, don't you think? Maybe it's to deflect the criticism that they're going to face after the judge rules on the sentencing hearing. And they want to be able to say, yeah, but, we needed Flynn. We had to take down Flynn or go after Flynn in order to get these other two guys who were doing exactly what the rotten Reverend Clinton and the Clinton Foundation do every day, all day. The same thing that John Podesta and his brother Tony were up to, along with thousands of other lobbyists in D.C. and around the world. And John effin' Kerry, who, by the way, served in Vietnam. You have John Kerry over there in Iran conducting his own foreign policy. Is he registered as a foreign agent? Uncle Bob? So are you therefore going to charge John effin' Kerry, Uncle Bob? Because now, based on the criteria you've laid out, the Clintons, Podestas, and John Kerry, who, by the way, served in Vietnam, can all be charged with the exact same crime as these business associates of General Flynn. And I certainly hope, now that you've set the precedent, Uncle Bob, that the new Attorney General, Mr. Barr, applies your case, your cases in this case, and indicts these individuals for the exact same thing, doing the exact same thing that Flynn's business associates did. Well, many of you have probably seen the video. I just saw it on Sunday, so I don't know why there was a lag behind all the other videos, but I guess many of you have now seen the video of the Obamas getting that envelope at the Bush funeral. Wow. So, Michelle opens up the program. You can see that she sees the envelope. You can see she looks at it, and you can see the look on her face, which she gives this. It's the saddest look I've ever seen. It's puppy dog eyes, puffed up bottom lip, and she is literally in somewhat of a state of shock, almost like she can't believe what she's reading, because she, unlike everyone else who has an immediate response and either puts it away or looks away or does something else, Michelle Obama just continues to look down and just continues to look at it, and I mean for minutes her head stays down like she can't believe what she's reading. Then Barack Hussein leans over and he takes a look, and the look on his face, my friends, he goes from that cocky, arrogant, smug look on his face immediately to a look of complete bewilderment. Then he sits back, he looks up, and he gets this look on his face that says, "I'm caught." That's the look he has. It's the look you have when you've been caught. Then he sits back and works on that for a second. Michelle has still got her head down looking. Very, very sad looking. And then he looks over again at it. Then leans back over and sits back up, and he just is totally like hard swallow. And you can just see the look on his face is like deep concern. Don't know what was written on them letters. Don't know if they each had something different, if it was all the same. Don't know what it is. But whatever the hell it is, it's something very, very bad for these individuals. Something very substantial. I hope someday we find out. Because it's a hell of a riddle. And there's no question that there's something, whatever these people were reading. And, you know, of all the people that you look at, you see the response of the Right Reverend Clinton. Ice water in her veins. You know, she looks at it, boom, immediately puts it back in the envelope. You can tell she's alarmed, but she's stone-faced, you know. And you see the Bidens, they're kind of wacky. Hillary turns around and is actually talking to the Bidens. I don't know if they read what was in the envelope, because the envelope's still in, I think, Biden's hand. I almost think that Hillary turned around and said, "Hey, don't even look at that envelope. Don't even read it." But they were clearly disturbed by things, something going on there. Then you look at the response of Laura Bush. Pretty much shock and horror. Of course, the response of Jeb Bush was clearly, he was just rattled. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't faint. He was clearly rattled. The only guy that I saw that had a different type of reaction was George W. Bush. He didn't seem surprised at all. He seemed extremely troubled, but not really surprised. Makes me suspect that maybe he knew. There's a lot of things going on that we don't know about behind the scenes. A lot of things going on. Jeremy Corbyn has now tabled a motion of no confidence in Theresa May after May pushed the vote on her Brexit deal beyond Christmas. So he was threatening to do this, but then she said, we're going to have this vote. And I guess he pulled it off the table. But now that she's pushed the vote back back till after Christmas, Jeremy Corbyn has now tabled another vote, a no confidence vote for Theresa May. So she already passed one no confidence vote. I assume she'll pass this one, but maybe she won't. Things are getting mighty sporty there in the UK. And we continue to watch, and we appreciate, we have one of our, I'm sure we have several people from the UK on my channel, but Mike G, G-E-E, whose comments many of you may be familiar with, has been kind of keeping us up to date, giving us the UK perspective. He is in the UK. So, we don't get the information here in the US. That's a story that's not really being covered too much here, and we get the fake news version of what's going on in the UK. As far as the behind-the-scenes stuff, I watch a lot of Farage videos. I watch, Rees-Mogg, and I watch some other videos. But ultimately, been kind of tuning into, I look for Mike's comments in almost every video I do now where we talk about Brexit and what's going on in the UK. It's nice to have a source, someone on the inside, someone who lives there, who can kind of give us the inside skinny that we don't get here in the U.S. So thanks to Mike for keeping us informed on that side of the pond. We're all watching very closely. It is a very important set of events that are going on right now in the UK. Have implications not just for citizens in the UK, England, the UK, which, is, of course, Ireland and the rest, but for all of Europe and, of course, the world. So, we're hoping that things turn out the right way. As I said, I think things in the end will work out in the UK, but not before a hell of a lot of turmoil and, unfortunately, a lot of pain, which is not necessary at all. But that's what the globalists are going to do. They're going to put you in the UK through a hell of a lot of pain to punish you for leaving their New World Order group. You're going to pay a heavy price for it. But hopefully you'll learn a great lesson from it. And hopefully other people will learn from you. Emmanuel Macron has caved. They are going to go ahead and immediately move to rush the concessions demanded by the yellow vest or yellow jackets, whatever you want to call them. So they're going to ram through the parliament the concessions demanded by the yellow jackets or yellow vests. We will see how that goes, but essentially what they're talking about is the tax cuts and a raise in the minimum wage. Unfortunately, this is going to create a big problem for Macron at the EU because the EU imposes a deficit gap, and I think it's 3%. You cannot have a deficit of more than 3% anymore. It's part of the EU plan to try to keep the EU from collapsing. It's the same plan that they've imposed on Greece and Spain and Italy and all the rest. And this will kind of throw their budget into the red and outside the guidelines of the EU mandate, which is going to create some problems for Macron when he goes back to the EU and he has to face the New World Order criminals in Brussels who may tell him, I'm sorry, we're not going to let you do it. So we'll just have to keep watching. This thing's getting really hairy. Really hairy.